and welcome to the Teaching Together podcast, where we celebrate and share the glows and grows of teacher life. I'm Grace.
And I'm Sierra. Each episode on the podcast, we like to kick off with a glow or a grow from our teaching world at the moment. So, Grace, do you have something to share with us to get us started today?
Well, yes, I do. I have a glow, and I always have a glow because my life is just full of glows. But it is, in real life, it is still school holidays as we record this episode. And I just 2 days ago got back from a week in Tasmania, specifically Hobart. And I have never been there before, being born and bred in New South Wales. And I've always wanted to go to Tassie, and it was absolutely beautiful. But my specific glow is this adorable skirt that I bought at the famous Salamanca markets, which are huge and wonderful. And I saw many beautiful things, but this skirt was super adorable because it is blue and dinosaur patterned. And we know that. I teach kindergarten blue, and my decor of choice this year is dinosaurs. So it was obviously made just for me. And I saw it and I was like, do I really need it? Like, it's a bit of a gimmick. Like, I don't really need it. But then when I walked back past it on my way out of the markets, I was like, no, I think I actually do need this. Like, this is essential to my life as a teacher. And I am so excited to wear it on the first day back. I'm absolutely thrilled. And it's especially awesome because even though it doesn't have pockets, it does fully unwrap to be just a rectangle of fabric, and it closes with press studs. So no matter what I eat, no matter what I'm doing, it's always going to fit. So I am so excited. And it's a great length for work and kneeling down next to tiny children and all that fun stuff. And I am seriously so thrilled and so glad that I bought it, because I would have been devastated if I came home without it. So that is definitely my glow. Sierra, do you have a glow or a grow or both?
I think I'm just I was feeling really worn out at the end of term 3. So I think I'm just, looking forward to a fresh term. I think that's always a bit of a glow, just having that fresh start. For me, it's actually a whole new year. So, new classes, all those kinds of things where you sort of get to reset your expectations, re-establish new routines that you sort of realized halfway through last year might have been really helpful. So I think that's just a bit of a glow for me at the moment. Still each year I'm learning that there's things I need to grow in and things I need to do to make life a bit more achievable for myself. To just be a better teacher. So I'm still growing in that. And that's always, I really enjoy learning new things. So I'm excited for a fresh start and to meet my new classes, and also for a little bit of a reprieve because we don't get year 7 until the start of 2025. So basically whenever I have year 7 timetabled into my load this term, I actually just have some extra planning time.
Oh, hallelujah.
Which is fantastic because I've got lots of programming and things to do for next year. So yeah, I'm excited. That would have to be my glow for now.
That is fantastic. I am so happy for you. So last episode, we had a look at finessing feedback. So if you want some really in-depth, detailed, practical tips on giving feedback and all that sort of stuff, definitely have a listen to our previous episode if you haven't already.
Today, we wanted to spend some time talking about placements. I've been keeping my finger on the pulse in the Australian Pre-Service Teachers Facebook group. That's a mouthful. And there seem to be a lot of people who are just curious to know tips for placements, that want some advice and thoughts from other people who've been on placements. So we thought this would be a great episode. Coming into a new term, end of year, there might be some people approaching their semester 2 placements. So we just wanted to share what some of our top tips would be for that. But first, it's time for tea. Grace, what are you drinking today?
So what I'm drinking today is another buy from the Salamanca market in Tasmania. And it is called Sweet Rose Dew by the tea company A Moment of Tea. And I usually hate approaching people at market stalls because I get really stressed and I'm like, I'm broke. I probably can't afford whatever it is you're selling. Don't look me in the eye. I feel so bad. But the two people who were there selling the tea at this market stall were so lovely. And I tried like 7 different teas and the guy was so patient with me and really knew what he was talking about. And it was just delightful. We're not sponsored by A Moment of Tea, but if you're looking for people to sponsor, you can sponsor us. I just genuinely really enjoyed the experience. And I picked Sweet Rose Dew because it was the most different tea to ones that I already had. To be perfectly honest, I don't know if I actually like it. Like I really liked it on the day when I tasted it, tested it. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of it now, but I do find it oddly relaxing. Like I really do find it a nice experience to drink this tea, even though I'm not hugely sold on the flavor. So I'm still coming around to it. But on the whole, it's quite a nice experience and it just reminds me of Tassie. So all in all, it's a great tea. What are you drinking?
Well, I picked up some, all the Twinings fancy teas were on special last week. I do love a good bargain. And I'm trying one that I was really looking for. I'm sure that they used to have like this apple and cinnamon kind of tea, which was one of my favorites. And I was looking everywhere for it and couldn't see it. So I landed on chamomile and spiced apple, which I am quite enjoying, much more than I have ever enjoyed just plain chamomile. I didn't really think I was a huge fan, but I was keen to see what the apple side of it would be like. And I'm quite pleasantly surprised.
We love a pleasant surprise.
Well, we wanted to kick off this conversation talking about placement essentials. One of the most commonly asked questions that I've seen from pre-service teachers who are planning their placements is, what do you take with you? What are your essentials? And I've had a read through a variety of people's responses online, and we wanted to share some of our must-haves, but also some of our other thoughts on what people commonly take to placement. One of the most common suggestions I see for taking on a placement is actually a teacher planner. And this one just irks me a little bit. I just am not a planner-y person. I mean, I love to-do lists. I love checking things off to-do lists. I wrote a huge holiday to-do list and I was ticking my way through that. And I get the dopamine hit of, writing something down and ticking it off. But I honestly think having a full-on daybook teacher planner that you get specifically for placement is challenging on so many levels because you don't know what the other teacher's plan is necessarily. And while, yes, you're going to be teaching lessons and taking a certain percentage of those lessons depending on, which placement this is for you, you just have to be a bit flexible, and sometimes you're not going to be able to fill out every little box on your planner. And then what I often find that I would do is if I do have a planner, I almost backdate it. I won't write anything in it, and then I'll go back and backfill it because I feel like it has to be filled in. And to some degree that can be helpful when you have your own classes and you have to sort of document when you did certain things. But there's also just so many other ways that you can track what you're doing in class. And if you're in high school in particularly, and you've got a learning management system like Canvas or Google Classroom or things like that you're using, that really just became my planner. I'd create a lesson on that. I'd have all my resources linked into that. And you can set drafts so that the students can't see it yet, but you can see it. And so I just think that for me ended up being more effective than ever having any sort of planner, calendar, daybook type format. And you're just already so smashed. There's so much that placement demands of you. And I just think the moment that you actually have a planner, there feels like there's this obligation that you have to fill it in. And you just don't need more work for yourself.
Yeah. And I think that I have this idealized version of myself that is super organized with my planner and everything. But I think that being on placement, you do need to be flexible and you don't know what's going to be happening. Even if your supervisor is super prepared and awesome, you're on placement and things can change. And I find personally that being stuck in I've written this down in my beautiful pen and now I can't get rid of it. Even if I white it out, if you white it out, it looks messy and it's a whole thing. It's not flexible enough for placement. And I know I've said this before as one of my glows, I think, on a previous episode, but I love using Planboard, which is an online planner, because first of all, it's a lot easier to edit. And second of all, you can include all your links to websites and you can upload all your like worksheets and PowerPoints and everything onto that planner. So it's all in one place. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend that, especially if you're on placement. Because I found that when I was on placement, I was getting resources from everywhere, and you've got like uni stuff and you've got stuff from the school that you're at. And if I had known about Planboard, last year, it would have saved my butt, and it would have been really helpful to put everything in the one place. So I highly recommend that. I'm using it now as a full-time classroom teacher and I love it, love it, love it, love it. Highly recommend. Not sponsored by Planboard. Would love to be again. But yeah. So I think at Teaching Together, we do love the idea of a planner, but you need to be really careful about which one you use because it's just going to create more work. And like, I know that some part of me loves filling out a calendar and like writing things down in pretty fonts and stuff. But just like you, Sierra, I often would do it like retroactively and like be backdating stuff. And then it's like, well, the whole point of a planner is to plan ahead.
Yeah.
So don't create the work for yourself. Don't spend the $80 on that. Spend it on food.
Yes, food that you're going to enjoy, which is one of our points later on. I think if you really are a pen to paper kind of person and you desperately want a planner, just print out some free digital PDF calendars and see how that goes maybe before you buy one of these fancy teacher planners, which are beautiful. Like we both adore stationery.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we do.
Officeworks is one of my favorite places to kill some time, but it's just, I find that it puts me under more pressure to feel like I have to keep it up to date when actually I have the plan in my mind and in other places. My next essential, though, would have to be sports shorts.
Oh, sports shorts. What a headache.
Oh, my goodness. I went on camp this year and searched high and low. Camp Jindabyne in January, mountain biking, hiking, canoeing, all of the things. And I did not want to be wearing long pants every day. And it's just impossible sometimes, or it feels impossible, to find appropriate length sports comfy shorts. But anyway, it was quite the debacle. I didn't even end up finding any. So I have one pair. I have a pair of Kathmandu hiking shorts, which I bought on like a Boxing Day sale a few years ago, which are great for Tuesday sport and for, the occasional excursion or camp kind of thing here and there. But when you do have multiple days in a row and you need more than one pair of shorts, it would have been nice to have a few extras, but I didn't want to buy another $90 pair of shorts. So top tip that I learnt from another teacher that I went on camp with this year, men's shorts.
Because they're appropriately length.
Yes.
Why is it that all females apparently want the tiniest shorts ever? Is that that is surely not a universal experience, because you have two females sitting right here, right now, telling you that we don't want that, Kmart and other places. Appropriately length, please. For us, all us teachers who are suffering. It took me so long on my most recent placement, my final placement at a public school, where the dress code was, a little bit freer than at the private school that I had work experience at before. And kind of it was an anything goes kind of situation, but I didn't feel comfortable being around 16, 17-year-old males in short shorts as a 20-something teacher who really wasn't that much older than them. It just felt weird. So this is actually something that you will probably need to spend some time on. Hopefully not too much money, but some time on, and go to the men's section, guys. Just go to the men's section, and they'll be comfier too. The pockets will actually be able to hold things. The pockets will be able to hold entire galaxies inside of them. So just buy the men's shorts, guys. Seriously, just do it.
My long pants that I wear during winter for sport, love them. They're also pretty good for warmer days because they're so light. They're just from Rockwear. They're like these really light parachute-y sort of pants with good pockets, elastic waist and elastic at the ankle. So that would be my recommendation for long pants if you don't want, to wear shorts, but you don't want to wear trackies.
Yeah.
Yes, but top tips. Other essentials that you should definitely have on placement, obviously your water bottle, and we're going to talk more about why hydrating is important really soon. But also make sure you've got a hat, and a hat that goes with whatever way you're going to wear your hair that day.
Yes. Like if you're going to wear a ponytail, make sure it a cap. A cap is great. I actually have a super cute wide brimmed picnic hat from Princess Highway, which is my absolute favorite store in the entire world, but it's so expensive, so I can never afford to buy from there. But this hat is great because it actually, the brim doesn't go all the way around. It stops kind of where you would have a ponytail, and it's got a nice little bow detail there. But if I'm wearing my hair in a ponytail, I can still wear the hat. If I'm wearing a claw clip, it doesn't work because the clip's too big. But if I'm wearing a ponytail or my hair is out, it's fine, and I look super cute on yard duty. But just a sports cap, honestly, would be great. And a sports cap is great for a claw clip because I've seen there's a teacher that I work with currently. She'll just undo the back strap when she's got her claw clip in and just wear it like that. So
life hacks.
I
keep a cap and a bucket hat at my desk. But also think about, whether you want a nice hat for when you look nice and whether you want a cap for when you're wearing sporty things. But,
my nice hat is an always hat.
It can be an always hat too. Other essentials that I always have with me here at school, which would be definitely things that you would want to pack in your placement bag, hand cream, especially if you're sanitizing your hands a lot. Your hands get dry and there's just nothing more irritating than having dry hands when you're at school and you can't do anything about it.
Amen.
Lip balm, same reason. I have a sunscreen on my desk, which because you never know when you have one of those impromptu outdoor assemblies where you're standing outside for continuous minutes. A fresh pack of spare hair ties.
Lifesaver.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I've literally had to borrow hair ties from a student on placement before because I didn't have any. Bring your hair ties.
Bring hair ties. I bought a whole pack just to keep at school. Also, if you're at a school where, it's mandatory for girls to have their hair tied up and you ask them to tie their hair up and they do the classic, oh, I don't have a hair tie. You've got a fresh, unused one. They can't complain about germs that you can share with them. So that's really helpful if you, have to monitor uniform things, which is not my favorite activity. But anyway, Ziplocs.
Just never know when you're going to need one.
Never know. All sorts of reasons why you might need that. And classic Panadol and Nurofen, really, I couldn't live without them.
Be that person who's someone says, does anyone have a Nurofen? You go, yes, I do. I have Panadol, I have Nurofen, I have Nurofen's Advance, I have the tablets, I have capsules. What do you want? You can be a veritable pharmacy.
I have gone to Grace on several occasions for Nurofen, and she has been the lifesaver that I needed.
Actually, another plug from someone we're not sponsored by. Coles have these awesome little mini containers, jars of ibuprofen, and they're capsules. And they are amazing. They slip right into your bag and you don't have to pop them out of a foil packet or anything.
No.
Yeah, so they're $2 or something.
Oh, they're so cheap. And they are the only tablets that I can swallow without
tiny
food. I'm a terrible tablet swallower.
Me too.
And yeah.
I'm a child, but they're great and they work. And because I can't have Panadol, so this ibuprofen is a lifesaver. And yeah, I love that it's not in a foil packet. It's just, you just slip it in anywhere. It's great. Give them to all your friends as gifts.
Yes. One thing I didn't say was sunnies. I have become so accustomed to, I can't survive a day at school without my sunnies at the moment. And there's just all sorts of reasons for that. But yeah, I think that was not something that I ever would have thought to have outside of my car at school.
Yeah.
But I love my sunnies. Wear them between classes all the time.
Yeah, every time I'm on duty, I will wear my sunnies because I cannot stand squinting. I don't know if I'm just more sensitive or precious than other people. I'm how are you outside in an Australian summer with no sunglasses on for half an hour on duty? I don't understand.
A minor lol. When I was at school, they, as a child, they brought Sunnies, like school branded Sunnies, in as an optional uniform.
As if that's not like a thing everywhere.
I know.
Like, we're in Australia.
It's so weird, but actually as now an adult, I'm like, man, I would have wanted that.
Yes, that's actually so useful. We love that.
Oh dear.
Another thing that the internet seems to love to suggest to prac students is having a stash of stickers or prizes. Now, this comes with an immediate caveat. You need to please check your school's policy or approach to this, because some schools will love it. Like one of the schools I went to on placement at, they could hand out food as prizes. They could kind of do whatever. Some schools are really strict on that. Mm-hmm. So you obviously need to be careful and just check before you go spending all this money on stuff, what the vibe is. And actually, now that I'm a full-time teacher, I never give out stickers. I'm actually really slack. I love stickers. I have a huge drawer full of them at school, and I never use them because we don't have those kind of reward systems in my classroom. So yeah, this is a personal preference kind of thing in conjunction with the school's policy that you'll be working at. But something that is 100% effective, and I would highly recommend, is a name and date stamp. So a classic teacher stamp that has your name on it and something to change the date. Mine is from Teach It Co. I think you can get them from anywhere. But my placement, my name and date stamp is super special because it was gifted to me at the end of my very first placement. And it is the most useful gift I've ever received. I use it literally every day now as a full-time teacher, but I also used it on placement, and I find it's really helpful even just putting something there to say you were in charge of this activity rather than the supervising teacher. You can say this was me, I did this, so that everyone knows. It's so good. I like just knowing when I did things, especially in kindergarten now that I'm full-time teaching, when kids will open a random page in their writing book that's right near the end, and then open another random page the next day that's near the front, and everything's kind of out of order. It just helps order things. So I know for me, when I'm looking at it, this was a work sample from term 2, I can use that to write reports or whatever. It's just super helpful. And you just stamp, done. You don't have to write anything or sign anything. When you're marking in bulk, the seconds you save will add up. So highly, highly, highly recommend. I just love stamps in general more than stickers, actually. Possibly because, a stamp is obviously reusable and a sticker is just a one and done. But I did use stamps and stickers when I was marking some Year 8 practice assessments at the end of my most recent placement, because I just thought that was fun. I had stickers to use, but really... yeah, so check your school's policy, but name and date stamp. Buy one as soon as you can in your teaching journey. It is the best.
Huge.
We did say we were going to come back to food. If you have never been on a placement before, you will have zero energy when you come home. You will want to you will want to lie on your bed and stare at the ceiling for about an hour after you get home, and then you'll start to feel like a human again. And it's so full on. So if you can do something to ease the burden of eating and nourishing yourself when you have no brain space for anything else but placement. Some of you are probably amazing at this already and meal plan like nobody's business, but I am terrible at meal planning. And I actually recently, this year, not when I was on placement, but this year I started using YouFoods. And there are a lot of different brands that do similar things like Macros or My Muscle Chef, and they deliver pre-made meals to you. I'm sure you guys have heard of HelloFresh and Dinnerly and Marley Spoon and those ones where you have to cook it. But if you don't want to cook your own food, you just want something that you know is healthy, you know the ingredients, it means that I eat vegetables at least once a day. Chuck it in your freezer. I actually use YouFoods, and it's super helpful because you can select what meals you want with YouFoods. I just chuck it in my freezer and I just pick something. I don't even have to look. I know that I'm going to like it because I've already chosen it. Chuck it in my lunchbox. I'm usually having it for recess because by recess I'm starving because I don't eat breakfast because I'm an idiot. But
Same.
yeah. But I find that one New Foods meal at recess will get me through the whole day. Like, and I know I'm eating like carrots or something, which is like actual real food rather than crackers or whatever. But yeah, if you can get on top of that and plan for that, if you can afford it, highly, highly, highly recommend just to take that mental load off and also make sure that your body is getting something nourishing at least once in the school day, because you are using so much more energy than you might ever have before. I certainly, on my final placement, I was just exhausted, and it was, probably the hardest I'd worked prior to working full time. And it's just like, being on placement is full on. It is a whole mind, body, soul experience. It is harder than working full time in our experience. It is, honestly, it sucks. It's great, but it sucks. And it's just so full on. Because you've got so many other things to think about, like working for free and having to do all your uni assignments on top of all your full-time work commitments. Maybe working your actual paying job on top of that, or not working and then being stressed because you have no money, which is what I did. So, it's a whole thing. Get on top of your food if you can.
Yeah. Also, just make sure that you've got some good snacks in your bag or in your car or wherever, because 4 o'clock snackies. I'm just desperate for a snack by about 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Yep.
Especially because I also often eat my lunch at recess.
Mm-hmm.
And you just want to be able to have things on hand that you can eat quickly. You just don't know when, I've got a duty now, or I've got to be here, or I've got to be there, or, you're trying to use your lunchtime or recess time to sort of plan or prep ahead or go and copy something from on the printer so that you're ready for the next lesson and whatever. Like, you actually can lose your eating time quite quickly during the day. And so you want to make sure that you have things that you can just access quickly that don't need, I love Toasties. And from time to time I'll, pack sort of a sandwich at home that I can take to put on the toasty maker at work. But like, that's a solid amount of waiting time for that to be ready.
Yeah.
So, make sure you've got fruit, nuts if you're allowed nuts at school.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to check.
I'm kind of infamous in my staff room for bringing in those like lunchbox packs of mini shapes. And often kids will say in my class will go, "Miss Keen, we have the same snacks." And I'm like, yep, I'm a child. But like, they're not the healthiest thing ever, but they're a good snack because they're literally made for the lunchbox. And I'm a kindergarten teacher, so I'm allowed to be whimsical and young at heart. But anyway, and the final thing that the internet deems essential to your teaching career, and we do actually, are sticky notes. They are not just a good, impromptu to-do list platform. You can use them for so many different activities with students. We could do a whole episode probably on all the different things you can do with students. We love them. So get yourself a bunch from like Kmart or something, just a huge stack of them.
As many different colours as possible.
Yes.
Colours,
shapes.
Colour coordinating, so helpful for different things.
100%. Oh, I also love using those reusable sticky tabs. I use them in, for example, in our literacy program, we've got like a printed program book thing that we read from in the mornings, and I use that as like a bookmark because it's the same color as the book. And also I'm not going to lose it because it's sticky and I just stick it to the book. I love them so much. Highly recommend those. And you can get those in a bunch of different colors too. But seriously, if you are thinking of buying a gift for your teacher friend or yourself, just give them a bucket of sticky notes. Like, you seriously could not be happier. Love sticky notes. They are a hot commodity at school, at my school. And now that we're doing this episode, I need to actually get some more. Yeah. But I do love going to our printing room and seeing the bucket. There's literally a bucket full of sticky notes, and I just want to take the whole thing, but that would be frowned upon.
You know what else is a hot commodity? Blue tack.
Blue tack. Oh my gosh. And the Velcro.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness, yes. If you look out, if you borrow the reel of sticky dots,
Make sure you put it back.
oh my goodness.
Because it's expensive.
Yeah.
Like seriously, if we thankfully my school buys that for us. We've put in our order for next year already. We're like, get us some Velcro. But Blue Tack, Velcro, sticky notes.
Can't go wrong.
You cannot.
Sticky notes feeds really well into just one thing I wanted to also chat about quickly is just lesson timing. Because that was something that I really, really struggled with initially in my placements. Now I really feel like I've sort of got my inbuilt period time body clock cracking along, and I kind of know roughly, even if I haven't looked at the time for a while, I'm just better at gauging like how much longer I've got left in the lesson, when I need to tell people to pack up, like all those sorts of things. But so often when I was on placement, the bell would catch me by surprise and I was in panic stations. But then also in trying to counter that, then I might design a shorter lesson and then end up with 10 minutes, or, you try and pack them up earlier and they actually do a fantastic pack up, and then you've got 5 minutes at the end of the lesson, just sort of, you don't want to waste, but how do you get them to do something meaningful? And so sticky notes is one great way. If you know that you've got them on hand in your bag with you wherever you go, you can do quick exit tickets, or a quick review question that doesn't involve, everybody take out your books and everybody take out a pencil, because that takes 10 minutes. So, just that kind of easy access to a task like that will help you to fill in a block of time, or if you need that sort of extra little review activity. So I found that to be really helpful. The other thing that I really desperately needed to do and start using was just timers, visual timers. If you've got a digital board in your room, sometimes I would say things like, hey guys, I'm going to give you 15 minutes for this activity. And it kind of feels like it's for them, but it's actually for me. Because then I know that if I, on my lesson, sort of in my lesson plan, have allocated about 15 minutes to that, I don't want it to take 30.
No, 100%. Yeah. I love a good digital timer. I think I've talked about this before.
You talked about timers on your watch?
Yes, on my Apple Watch, which I don't really use anymore because my body clock is now attuned to my school times. But also, I think I've talked about Classroom Screen before as well, which is free. And I mean, you can use a visual timer like just the Google one, but I like the Classroom Screen one because you can have fun sound effects when it ends, and you can, like a truly visual timer, you can choose to have it like the clock that's like it looks like a pie graph, and it slowly winds down. So my kiddos who are really just getting used to what time even is
and can't read clocks
and can't really read clocks, they can see that it's going down. They've got a little bit of time left, and I use this for rotations a lot, but I love using the gong sound effect because it's so random, and every time my kids hear it, they just automatically freeze, which is perfect for rotations when I need them to like rotate and move. But it's a good attention getter, and it keeps me on track too. Because if the sound goes off automatically, then I'm not losing track of time. It's on the board. We're all on the same page. So I would highly recommend Classroom Screen or any other visual timer. Super helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you don't have a digital board with, a timer, just to have a timer on your phone, because you get sidetracked by people and you're helping people and you're moving around the room and all those things, which are fantastic. But until you've been in it, and also every school has that slightly different schedule. So, if it is only a 4-week placement or a 5 or 6 week placement, it might not actually be long enough for you to build that internal body clock.
Yep.
So just using timers, it's not silly. It's actually a really helpful strategy to keep you on track and make sure that you get to the essential parts of your lesson, and you also don't have a rushed pack up or like a rushed ending. Like, I think there's nothing worse than, maybe you had a great conclusion or some sort of review thing at the end that was really essential for nailing home the key idea, and then the bell goes, everyone packs up and they walk out.
Yep.
Or, it's lunchtime or whatever, and that it just sort of, it kills it.
Yeah,
wherever it's at. So
I was quite terrible at the leaving room for pack up on my first couple of placements. I was just really bad at it. So now I'm really mindful of that. So now moving on to voice and hydration. And this is highly ironic because I'm actually getting a bit of a sore throat now after talking for so long after being on holidays.
On a holiday,
Yeah, and I was literally by myself in Hobart for a week and really didn't have to talk to anyone unless I was ordering a coffee or whatever. So like my throat is literally sore right now.
Yeah, I'm feeling a bit croaky too. A few days at home and just like talking to myself in my head, listening to podcasts.
It's real. But one of the major pieces of feedback I received on my first placement was that I needed to speak louder. And very diplomatically, my supervising teacher wrote that I was developing my teacher voice. But then by the time I was on my final placement, my supervisor said that I could probably turn it down a little bit.
Oh my goodness sake.
Yes. That doesn't surprise me at all. So we both had the same feedback, which I think is very funny, and probably makes a lot of sense. And so we wanted to just get really specific about some voice care tips and some ways to just preserve your voice, because when you jump into full-time teaching, you are literally talking like
all day.
I want to say like 90% of your day, like so much.
Even if you're not doing like up the front, teacher talk, chalk and talk, those kinds of methods of teaching, even if it's not all of that, you are in constant dialogue with the people around you, whether it's a one-on-one conversation or talking with a small group or doing a full-blown projection from the front of the classroom. But it is just unlike anything else.
Yeah, it is full on. And it is highly likely that you will lose your voice at some point. I actually lost my voice halfway through last year when I wasn't even a teacher yet. But I think that was after I'd done my first placement for that year. And then I had my second placement for that year. I haven't lost my voice since then, but like it is full on. After only 4 weeks on placement, I ended up losing my voice. So some voice care tips. I actually really wanted to talk about some call and response attention getters.
Yeah.
That some of them are vocal, some of them are not. So Instagram is great for these. There is this music teacher that comes up on my Explore page sometimes on Instagram, and he just does like a collage of all the different call and responses he's used with his class, and some of them are really funny. But on my first placement, this genius child, who actually wasn't a genius but is super adorable, actually just kind of accidentally created this call and response because I was teaching Year 1 Blue. And I said, Year 1 Blue, to get their attention. And this adorable child said, I'm looking at you. And I was like, oh my gosh, it rhymes. That's the best thing I've ever heard. So I totally stole that from him. And so for the rest of my placement, I'd say Year 1 Blue. They would say, I'm looking at you. And now I use this with my class, which is Kindergarten Blue. And I specifically requested that I would be the blue class so I could use this. Like, no word of a lie. I was so thrilled from that placement like 4 years ago to use this call and response, and I get all my kids to put their hands on their heads and make sure they're looking at me. Another one of my friends covered a Year 4 class just for a term a few years ago now, and she taught them, she would say, hear ye, and they would all say, all hail the Queen.
That's iconic.
Which is amazing. I've never had the guts to do it. And there are a bunch of other non-verbal attention getters. Depending on how you feel about bells in the classroom, I have like an actual bell, like a reception bell that I use if it's too loud for me to use my Kindergarten Blue, I'm looking at you. Because sometimes it is way too loud, especially if we're doing something with our buddy class or it's highly collaborative. I have 2 bells, one on my desk and one at the front near the board. So wherever I am, I can use it. The classic, you clap a pattern and the kids clap it back. Or because I'm with 6-year-olds, I will start doing random actions, like I'll put my hands on my shoulders or, do kind of a silent head, shoulders, knees and toes kind of thing. And they have to copy me and be quiet, which works really well when I have to get the attention of the whole grade if we're out at lines or whatever. I've got a whistle, I can like do a whistle pattern and they have to clap back, same thing. I also saw on Instagram, I can't remember where I saw it, but this really good one where you just say, at your normal voice level, if you can hear me, hold your breath.
So I do, if you can hear me, put your hands on your head or something like that. With my teenagers, sometimes. And And then because the people at the front of the room might see you, might be able to hear you. And so they start doing it. And then everyone else just actually starts putting their hands on their head and actually makes themselves quiet because they're seeing that visual cue. Like I'll use that up to about year 8.
Yeah.
And I also, just speaking about bells, I also had a wireless doorbell for a while.
Yes.
When I first started teaching. Don't really use it anymore. I think it became probably more distracting than it was helpful.
Yeah, okay.
But initially, I did that, which was fantastic because I could have the speaker, I just got it from Bunnings, the speaker that I left on the front teacher table that was loud enough. It's only like small, I don't know, like the size of the base of a water bottle kind of thing. Like it's not very big. And then I could keep the button with me in my pocket.
Yeah.
So wherever I was in the room, particularly when we were doing pracs or things like that, and there was a lot of movement and there's a lot of conversation, you could sort of ring that and people would hear that. And it was just basically a freeze because you're right, sometimes in those more not chaotic, but busy, engaging sort of lessons, it's too loud for you to use your voice to get people's attention.
Yeah.
Or if you do, you're probably really straining your voice, which is just so unhelpful when you're adapting to this I'm always on and I'm always speaking kind of change for your vocal cords.
Yeah. And I think whatever method you use, I mean, there might be something that your supervising teacher's already using that you just jump onto because it's easier. But just establish the expectations and do it exactly the same way every single time.
Yes.
So that it becomes automatic and you don't have to think, your students don't have to think, and the transition time will gradually lessen because everyone knows, she's, raising her hand. That means I need to raise my hand and stop talking. Just pick something and be consistent with it. And hopefully within your 4 or 6 or 8 weeks or whatever, it will become like sign language essentially.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the big things about placement is like when you have your own classroom, you can experiment with a few of those different methods. When you are on placement, just choose one or maybe 2 if the first one isn't working, but it doesn't have to be a huge variety because at the end of the day, you only know them for a short amount of time. You've got a short amount of time to set your expectations. So doing that one thing, sticking with it and making it really consistent, I think is far more useful than having, 3 or 4 different call and response things that you might use and, things that take time to establish when you don't really have time.
Yeah. Some other voice care tips. One of the most obvious, position yourself in the classroom where you can most easily be heard. Just don't be dumb. Also, be adequately hydrated. The Victorian government advises that you limit caffeine and drink more water.
This was a huge challenge for me.
My class knows that I run on caffeine. Like my 6-year-olds know. One of my beautiful children, when we were talking about our holidays, coming back from term 2 holidays at the start of term 3, he was like, Miss Keane, there was some coffee ice cream at the place we went on holidays and I know you would have loved that. And I was like, that is really sweet.
That is sweet.
But yes, I do run on coffee.
I'm really working to keep myself to 2 coffees a day at the moment.
Same.
Honestly, there are easily days where I could hit 4 or 5 sometimes, especially if it was like, that sounds so bad, but especially parent-teacher interview days or days that sort of really are long. It's just so easy for me to just grab a coffee and keep going and feel like I'm full and sustaining myself because caffeine does like suppress hunger. So you just kind of keep going on that. And then there would be times when, I'd get to the end of the day and realize, I've had like literally no water.
Yeah. And I've seen lots of very funny Instagram reels of like teachers guzzling their water after a full day. But seriously, I'm saying this to myself as much as I am to you guys. Please drink your water because it will make you feel better in general. Like I have gotten to the point on several days where I've realized I actually am dehydrated. Like I can feel it and I feel like crap, honestly. And then I drink my liter of water. I'm like, okay. All I needed to do was actually, take care of my body. So have your coffee, have your tea, but drink more water.
Yes. And Kmart has those really cute water bottle bag things at the moment.
Yes.
They're kind of like for the Frank Green people of the world, which I'm not one. I am. But just so that, when you are on duty or you are out and about and you're moving around, you can just have your water bottle with you without it taking up hand space. I think that is one of the challenges when you're moving around and you're busy at school. It's like, taking my water bottle with me is another thing that I have to carry.
And going back to voice care tips, just a really important one, I think, to finish this little section on, stay at home if you are sick. If at all possible, if you feel like you're getting sick, it could be the smarter option to take one day off and make it up than ending up on like the last week of your prac and feeling like you're about to die because you're so unwell, because you're so burnt out, because prac is just all encompassing.
Yeah.
But you will know what your circumstances will allow.
Calling in sick is awful, but I think it's actually nothing worse than being sent home during the day because it feels so much more stressful. You got to leave things in disarray. You know, like things are just a lot more chaotic if you get to school and then have to leave, as opposed to saying, you know what, I just need to recover, let your voice recover if that's sort of what's struggling. Rather than completely losing it. It could take ages for your voice to come back if you absolutely wear it to the ground.
Yeah, I'll say it again. Teaching is so full on. Placements are so full on, and your body is getting used to it when you're on placement and you're having to go from not working full time to working full time and doing uni full time at the same time. And it's like running headfirst into a brick wall. It seriously is. We love teaching. We love it so much.
We do.
But the physical realities are huge. And that is why school holidays are so important. And we love them so much because most of my holidays have been spent sleeping. It's full on, guys. But it's so rewarding and we love it so much.
I think there's so much more that we could talk about on this, about the goings on while you're on placement, and we might even look at doing a follow-up episode to this, looking at some of those things. But in the meantime, plan well, get excited, and make sure you take care of yourself.
And wear a cute lanyard, even though you won't have any keys to put on it. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook. We are on your podcast streaming platform of choice, where we would love to get a review. An honest review would be great, but if you want to give us 5 stars, we would love you forever. Thank you so much for listening. We hope this was super, super helpful. And we will catch you next time. Bye.